Okay, this represents the second portion of 1.1. We're going to go a little bit further on this and talk about compound expressions. We learned how to translate the basic expressions yesterday in our last lesson that we saw. But what happens if there's two operation words in this statement? That's what we have to look out for. And so what our focus for on this lesson is going to be operation phrases or algebraic expressions, verbal expressions that have more than one word in it, so that we can learn how to do compound expressions. So a brief overview of examples. Just real quick, the sum of 2 divided by a number in 6 is something there that we need to look out for. Again, you're talking about sum here. You're talking about divided by here. You've also got a number 2, a number which we know to be a variable, and 6 which we know to be also a number. So notice now how we have 3 values and we have 2 operation words. That's what we're going to be getting ready for. So again, if you're reading this one, 9 less than the quotient of 2 in a number, we have less than, we have quotient, you have the values of 9, 2, and a number. And so that again is going to be our challenge. 3 times the difference of 3 in a number. Times is our operation prompt. Difference is also an operation prompt for us. 3, 3, a number, represent the values, and again that's what we're going to be getting ready for. So the essential question here is, how do you arrange the problems with multiple operations being used? And here is your italicized part. So when given more than one operation, always try to do multiplication and expression first. Now the key word here is try, because there are problems where you cannot do the multiplication or division part first. Sometimes the wording is awkward, and when that happens we have to go with the other part. It's kind of like order of operations, where multiplication and division get done before addition and subtraction. And so therefore, whenever you have multiplication word and addition word, the multiplication stronger. Give it the first option and then go from there. Your awkward wording phrases include, but are not limited to, something if you saw 3 times the sum. How do we do 3 times a sum? I don't know, that doesn't make sense. You would see 3 times a number or a number times 3, but 3 times the sum is a weird wording. Another one would be something like the quotient of the difference. Again, how do you do the quotient of the difference? That doesn't make sense. Again, the wording of it is just weird, and that's why it doesn't work. 2 divided by the difference. Again, doesn't make sense because it's got, usually we're used to having some value in these spots. So again, that awkward wording is going to be something that you need to look out for. Alright. Some awkward examples just to show you what we're talking about here is 2 times the difference. Again, number 2, operation word times, operation difference, a number 5. Notice that when you read it, it's 2 times the difference. That's awkward, which means that the first thing we would look at here is not the times, but the difference part, because it didn't work. Same thing here. Quotient of 6 plus a number and 5. Alright, so the quotient of 6 plus doesn't make sense here. Again, the quotient of 6 plus messes things up a little bit. I don't know, we usually it's the quotient of 6 and something, but 6 plus something is going to be a little different. So getting to your examples here, just to make sure we've got it, and then we'll go back and look at the awkward examples and try to get those for you if you want them. 6.7 more than the product of 5 and n. First off, if I were you, in terms of your examples, I think these are on the back of your sheet, I don't know. First thing you want to do is identify your operation prompts. More than, product. That means plus, that means time. Then get your values out. 6.7, 5, and n, of course. And so what you want to do first is look at your multiplication, because remember, multiplication is stronger, and see if this phrase makes sense. The product of 5 and n does make sense, so that will work and turn into 5n. Again, because it works, convert it. So the product of 5 and n turns into 5n. So how do we do 6 more than that? If you remember from yesterday, more than means take the 6.7 and reverse it. It also means add. And so that is how you do 5n, the product of 5 and n, with 6.7 more than that. So 6.7, not 6. There. The difference of 3 and twice the number h. So again, difference here is an operation word. 3, a number, h. and something's missing here, but again, here's what's happening. Twice is its own operation prompt. Twice has two things in it. First, whenever you do something twice, there are two of them, and whenever you do something twice, you are multiplying by 2. And so what we're looking at here is we have the number 2, we have the letter H, we have a 3, and again, if this is the multiplication part, twice a number H would just be 2H. And how do you do the difference of 3 and 2H? Remember, the first thing worded goes first, so 3 would go first, minus 2H. Again, because 3 was first, 3 goes first, and you're talking subtraction, so it's 3 minus twice the number H, which is why that is in the back. It takes time to get used to this, which is why you got to make sure you take it seriously. You don't have much time. I think your test is next week for this, so you got to make sure you take your time to really get this stuff understood. Make sure you don't act too proud and not ask for assistance, because it's going to hurt you if you don't. 2 times, so times the operation, sum here, so my numbers here are 2, a number, r, and 9. But again, when I go to read my multiplication phrase, 2 times the sum, that's something that doesn't really work, because I usually have 2 times a number. So what that means is I'm going to look at sum. The sum of a number and 9 would be r plus 9, because remember, r goes first, 9 goes second. And the way you show 2 times that is you take parentheses and put a 2 in front of it. This would be 2 times the sum of r and 9. So again, whenever you have a awkward wording, you've got to group that together and make sure you put it together something like that. 9.7 less the quotient, again, operation words there, so 9.7 for a number, I'm just going to go ahead and use x. But again, this is the stronger word, so the quotient of 4 and a number, remember 4 goes on top, a number goes on the bottom. The trick here is 9.7 is first, and so we need to make sure we don't put it in the wrong spot. If it was 9.7 less than, then it would mean switch it around, but since it's less, and remember less doesn't mean switch, you put 9.7 first, minus 4 over x. Alright? So in terms of what's going on here, make sure you understand which words get the first choice and what must be used when you multiply by a sum or difference. Whenever it says times the sum or times the difference, again, what you should be recognizing is that the 2 operations that have the first choice are multiplication and division, because remember, order of operation makes them stronger. And in terms of whenever you have a multiply by the sum or multiply by the difference, that you must use parentheses to group the sum or group the difference, because order of operations would break all those rules if you did not. Alright, so other than that, again, make sure you work hard on this stuff today. The information, the lessons are meant to show you what's going on. The classwork is meant for you to actually get experience. So if you do not get experience, you probably won't do that well on the test or quiz. So make sure you take some time to look at those appropriately and ask about things you don't know, either from your classmates or from me, and that'll be good.